Hi everyone, welcome back to Live Darts. We are here at the Champions League in Leicester and we've grabbed Nico at the BBC booth. Paul, enjoying commentary duties again?
It's been hectic, but to be honest with you, what a fabulous first day it really was. And I have to say, the one thing I was most impressed with was the James Wade recovery at the end of that match, because he was dead and buried really, and it was history repeating itself for Gary from that European Championship spot where he was 9-7 up and then he's lost it 10-9 again. But I don't think Gary did a lot wrong, but it just goes to show, doesn't it, that if you deny your opponent a match dart, anything's possible.
Busy time in the dart in Canada right now. We'll touch on Gary, as you said, that this weekend is arguably the best we've seen him this year, but he's lost both games. But very encouraging signs for Gary Anderson fans.
Yeah, he looked fit, looked energetic, looked hungry and focused. So I think with the Grand Slam around the corner, with the World Championships around the corner, if you're a Gary Anderson fan, there's a lot to look forward to. But Gary's experienced enough to know that, yes, it hasn't been his weekend at the Champions League, but there's enough to suggest that things could be rosy over the next few months.
We're going to go back to Dublin as well. Round one, Michael Van Gerwen against Jamie Hughes. Did that 1-3-5 checkout not only change the destiny of that tournament, but arguably the destiny of the rest of the season?
Could have done. Sometimes it's a game or season-changing shot that you need to really kick you forward. If you look at what Michael did after that, he's turned into the beast that we saw pretty much at the start of the year again. And he's already said on many occasions that he likes a 1-3-2. He may have changed his mind and 1-3-5 might be his favourite shot now, but he was tested by Jamie Hughes, which we expected, but after that he was way too good for everybody else. And especially with the way Dave Chisnell set his stall out early, you know, he wasn't going to be rolled over. And Michael's response to Chizzy's response was telling, and I think made for a fabulous Grand Prix.
Again, lots going on. Grand Slam picks are out. What do you make of them? The right decision on Glenn and Lisa are probably the two big talking ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I tweeted a matter of minutes after it was released saying the PDC have nailed this. It's perfect. I think what they did with the Leighton Bennett situation was just about right. I've said to you previously that I didn't think it was the right time for Leighton to be in it. So there's more for him to aim for in the future. Always leave them hungry. Bo Greaves, I think, was the right situation as well. I think it was a bit early for her, so she can now just progress forward and do her own stuff and continue to play youth darts and have fun. But with Lisa, absolutely she needed to be in there. Makuru in there, perfect. Love the fact that Jim Williams is back and, you know, gets a second crack at it, but he's a different player now. I just think it's a really clever picks all around. And the Glenn Durrant thing is interesting for me because, for me, he had to be there as the defending, you know, Lakeside champion as he stands. And I know there's a lot of stuff on social media about the fact that he's PDC now. But the non-ranking money situation is clever. But in my opinion, there's one thing. If Glenn was to get to the final of the European Championships or win it, I think he should then be allowed to get the ranking money. I think there should be a caveat in that.
Just touching on that, does that mean he then takes a PDC place and the BDO have to put maybe someone on the standby list in for him, or
no,
he keeps that place?
I think he keeps the space in that existing draw as a BDO World Champion defending. But if in a PDC event that is going towards qualification for the Grand Slam, if he then gets another one of those spots, he keeps his same spot, but he then gains the ability to be ranked from the Grand Slam. I think that's the way it should work, but that's my own personal opinion. Just
touching on that, because it's quite an intriguing one, obviously where it's ranked now, Glenn is going to go in pot 4. Mm-hmm. So, as a PDC ranked player, if you pull Dazza out of pot 4 in your group, you're going to be a little bit peeved, aren't you?
That's the way it is, isn't it? The thing is, we're outside of the draw and we can just say, we want this, we want that. I want him to be in the group of doom. I want him against MVG, I want him against the hardest players. That's what we want to watch. You know, Glenn being in pot 4 is brilliant for the tournament. It's brilliant for the viewers.
As well, do we think if the Slam picks were maybe 8 weeks ago that Leighton would have been in? Because obviously there's been some form and confidence issues. He's openly said he's not as in a great place confidently now as what he was 6-7 weeks ago. So if those picks had been 2 months ago, do you genuinely believe he would have had one?
Probably not. I think the issue of looking after Leighton's welfare in a sporting environment as a young kid, I think that was paramount. I think that's why the PDC have nailed every opportunity here. He's going to get loads of other opportunities in the future, more than likely, if he keeps playing well. And he is going to be playing at the BDO World Championships, so that's a good step forward for him. But like I've said before, these kids, allow them to be kids, allow them to enjoy the game and all the fruits of their practice that they do. But there has to be something else. It's the same with the Champions League with Michael van Gerwen. There's always going to be something he hasn't won. He's won everything. Where's the motivation?
As well, players have been quite vocal. Michael Smith yesterday doesn't believe the BDO should be in the Grand Slam anymore because it's ranked. If it was non-ranked, he said fine, but because it's a ranking event, he doesn't believe they should be there. What's your thoughts on that as a pundit and as a player? Because obviously you can put both hats on here.
Yeah, as a player, I can fully understand where Michael Smith is coming from, because it's a ranked event, it goes towards the PDC Order of Merit, so I'm thoroughly on board with what Bully Boy's saying. I can see where he's coming from. As a fan, it's always been billed as BDO and PDC mixed together, and we only get it once a year pretty much, so as a viewer and as a pundit, I want to see them go head to head. I think we are maybe going towards a time where the BDO picks will not be needed anymore. It's a bit of a stick. I think we're right in the middle of where we're going with this. The PDC are having questions asked, and they're probably asking themselves, what do we do now? Do we need the BDO guys in to make it one of this, have the real feel of a Grand Slam? Not really sure, if I'm honest.
It was quite interesting when we spoke to Matt in Dublin that he said, look, they give us the list, but ultimately we have final say of their 8, where beforehand it was probably a little bit more give and take, but he was quite down the line, no, it is our call who they pick.
Well, the thing is, it is their event. They should have the final say. Ultimately, the guys in the BDO rankings can put themselves in position, and ultimately there is a plethora of talent that the PDC can say, we want to take your top 4 men, including the women, is just, for me, the way it should be. There should be extra carrots at the end of the string for the ladies if they win the world title or if they are the #1 ranked. It used to happen. You used to get Frances Hunselaar, you used to get Anastasia playing. Why that stopped, I'm not really sure. But now, because the ladies are getting better, they need these extra opportunities. And it possibly, in the coming years, we may have the youth players come through, but they've still got opportunities to get in themselves.
I'm going to say this, I'm not trying to BDO bash if it comes away this way, but the fact that we're talking about Leighton Bennett at 13, Bogrees at 15 as massive contenders, does that say where the BDO game is right now, that the standard isn't as good as it was, that we're talking about these kids to try and promote their brand as best as it can?
I don't know, I just think everybody's getting better, whether the older guys are getting better. I mean, look at someone like Wayne Warren, for instance, who's going to be making his Grand Slam debut. I've been speaking to a lot of Welsh people this week, and they say, Wayne's always a good player, but over the course of the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's become a great player. It doesn't happen to everybody at the age of 13. Sometimes it's 50 years of age. Beautiful thing about this game, isn't it? You can have a 13-year-old kid against a 55-year-old. So, not for me. I think just everybody has their moment, don't they? And whether that's as a teenager or a little bit older, it's just great. But I think the way the BDO system works is you can find these kids from local sources, and you can also find the older guys from local sources, but potentially they can all come together in a world environment, and that's what makes it so inclusive.
The other one, Joe Cullen, damning of the qualification system for the Grand Slam, that Ian White isn't in. Joe Cullen isn't in, both Euro Tour winners this year. Where do you stand on with both hats as a player? Do you think the system is flawed? But obviously, as a pundit, we're seeing Joe use, for instance, that pairs the World Cup runners-up getting in. Is it right to represent runner-up as a go and play in one of our premier competitions, and the World Youth runner-up? He's like, come on.
I'm never really going to bash the World Cup one, because it actually allowed me to go back into the Grand Slam. However, I can see where Joe's coming from. In my opinion, and I'm someone who covers the European Tour all season, I think if you win a Euro Tour, you should be in. No questions asked. Because it's a slightly more premier event than a Players' Championship event. So I can see one of the reasons why there's a little bit of ambiguity with the qualification criteria. However, I think if you win a Euro Tour, there should be a stipulation that says, if you win one, you're in. And when the Grand Slam is finished, then the European Tour starts again about 3 or 4 months later, and then it's a case of, right, extra motivation is, I win this, I'm in the Grand Slam. I believe it should be that definitive. Joe's done really well to win in Mannheim. Christoph Ratajski did brilliantly to win in Gibraltar. Ian White was immense on the European Tour this year. 4 finals in a row. That alone deserves him to be in the Grand Slam. And I'm not really sure why they aren't.
I was say that takes a lot, because, like you say, Ian White's been one of the players of the year. Ratajski, arguably the most improved, and in that same category. Yet they're not going to potentially, I say, not going to be at a premier event. They've got to go and qualify after the World Series, which seems daft, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I loved Dan Dawson's hashtag on Twitter. He don't need no invite. I mean, the thing is, Ratajski he may have a gripe about something for about 3 seconds, but he'll just say, well, I'll just win the qualifier then. That's exactly what he did for the World Series finals. But I think for the Grand Slam to have that pivotal place where I feel it's one of the grandest events in world darts. It has to have all of the form guys, and for Ratajski to have won in Gibraltar, and you've got these guys like Cullen who have won very recently as well, so they have form, especially the way he beat MVG in the final. Why is he not in it? He should be there.
Talking of qualifying criteria and things, this is another one that a lot of top pros skipped the World Series qualifier because of when the World Series was and when the Grand Slam qualifier was on the Monday after the Sunday. Last year that happened, and it almost didn't happen for Dave Chisnell because of cancelled flights. Yeah. As a player, do you think that's a slight mismatch? Could they not have done the Grand Slam qualifier the same day as the World Series qualifier?
They could have done, and they have done in the past. It's hard work for the players to do 2 qualifiers in one day, but ultimately this game isn't easy, no matter how you do it. I think sometimes the qualifiers are too close to the events. They talked about the cut-off for the Champions League being the match play, and that doesn't happen for a good 2 or 3 months after. I like that for this event. For the Grand Slam, I think there needs to be a definitive cut-off at the end of the European Tour. So Gibraltar was at the end of September, and then you've got a good 6 weeks before the Grand Slam is on. I think that is it. That's where it ends. And then a qualifier maybe a month before. Should you have the qualifiers at separate times to Pro Tours? I say no. Logistically, it helps to have a qualifier at the same weekend as Players' Championships. But as far as the World Series and the Grand Slam ones, I would have them in different weekends. I'd have one the week before, say on a Friday. I think a Friday is the perfect day for a qualifier. Gets people into the weekend. And then obviously the Grand Slam the following Friday. Someone was talking on social media very recently about how you shouldn't have 2 events in one day. And
Jake's about the challenge.
About the challenge to it. I can see the logic behind that, because those days are brutal. But ultimately, this is not an easy game. And I think you've just got to play the hand you're dealt and just do the best you can. But with the qualifiers, I think 1 qualifier a day lends itself to better play. That the second one, and I can say this from experience, when you play the second qualifier after the first one, you are blasted energy-wise. It's just a survival of the fittest. It's not about quality.
Yeah, so I just thought it was quite interesting that top pros decided to miss the opportunity to go to a TV tournament to prep for a qualifier. It's just like, this didn't quite sit right with me that they were willing to sacrifice a TV tournament. But I understand it, but it's just like, logistically, I think for me something should be tweaked a little bit.
Schedule management has been a massive topic this year, especially with someone like Rob Cross, who was accused of not managing his schedule well in 2018, and he's done it a lot better this year. Ordinarily what we do is we talk about the Premier League guys and how they manage their schedule, but I think we're starting to look at the top 64 trying to manage their schedule, especially this time of year with qualifiers, final Pro Tours, and getting into tournaments that can potentially save tour cards and get them in the Worlds. It's tough stuff. I was talking to Mark Webster hours ago about the fact that he's not in Minehead this year. He said that might be a blessing, because now I can just go straight to Wigan and play in the World's qualifier, and he's going to be fresh instead of jetting up the M5 and the M6 to make sure he's there on time. 2
topical subjects you've touched on there, which moves us on nicely. First one, the magical 2 words, Premier League.
Yeah.
The discussion has now officially started on social media, so we can talk about it.
It started a month ago, didn't it?
Where are we with the Premier League? There's a lot of talk about the format more than anything.
Yeah.
Do you think we go back to a straight 10? or do you think there's only going to be 8, maybe 9 spots up for grabs this year?
Oh, this is early to talk about this, isn't it? Well, the thing is, I really enjoyed the contenders last year because it was fresh. And you can't do something different every year. You've got to, give something another chance. I think that if the contenders returns, great. I think one of the reasons why they went to 10 in the first place is because they literally couldn't say, we can't do an 8. We have to pick another 2 because these guys have had phenomenal years. Is it time to maybe go back to 8? Possibly, and have 2 contenders a night. And possibly have a contenders league where the contenders play off each venue, and then at the end of the year you have the best performers from the contenders have another prize at the O2. Just do something a little bit different.
The carrot and the prize being a spot in next year's Premier League, is that the ultimate?
It's a good idea, but I still don't think that's perfect because there's a long time between the end of a Premier League in May
and
to the next one starting. Is what, 9 months?
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 9 months in darts. A lot can happen in 9 minutes.
Last one. Your comeback. It's been talked about on social media. Everyone asking, where is the asset now? When you said you were having the year off, you said, look, first half of the year, I've got loads on, but darts isn't my priority.
Yeah.
From September, my mindset switches to practice mode to get ready for Q School. So first of all, do you still intend to go to Q School? And 2, has the practice regime started and where are we?
Yeah, we started practicing a few weeks ago. Went down to Winmouth to do the launch and tested out a few other bits of kit. Essentially, I've got the same kit, just doing a few minor tweaks and trying a few different things. But what I need is to nail down exactly what I'm going to use for Q School, probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I've got plenty of time to get comfortable with it. I haven't played one tournament this year, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. But I am practicing now most days. I've got a throw with Mark Webster on the stage here in Leicester, and we had a good game. And even though there wasn't anybody in the seats, I actually got that buzzer feeling on the stage again. I thought that was a good sign. Definitely going to do Q School. Mark's going to be there. Well, hopefully he's not there. I hope he gets to get in the qualifier, get a few games at Ali Pali, and he's still on the tour. But there's a few friends of mine going to be there, like Painter and Cave, and we're all going to mount an assault on these young kids and see if we can do one for the previous generation. It's there's no doubt that we're going to be there. I am going to be there. It's a case of what happens after that is uncertain. There's no point making plans post Q School.
Are you in a better headspace now than what you were? Because I know when we spoke at Lakeside, you were mentally all over the place because the conundrum at Ali Pali, I don't think will ever happen again, which conspired to lose your tour card. That was just, I don't think I've ever seen it before in my life. And the professionalism you showed commentating on that Luke Humphries game was unbelievable, knowing what was on the line.
Yeah.
So are you in a much better place now to go and have an assault?
Yeah, I think so. I've had some compliments in the last few months about that situation. I even got an apology from Luke Humphries. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can, because he's such a nice lad.
Yeah, don't be silly. I mean, what are you going to do? Lose the game for my career? Don't be silly. David Croft from Sky Sports came up to me and said he was listening to the radio when I did that, and he said the professionalism you showed calling that game and when you knew exactly what was on the line, quite remarkable. But I'm a professional at the end of the day. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? You've got to look forward. And when we came to Q School last year, I found myself looking backwards. And I thought that's not a good headspace to be in. This year, I'm looking forward to Q School, and there's a roadblock there. It's up to me to either get over it or smash through it. I do feel a lot fresher, I feel a lot fitter, I feel a lot more ready for it. And as to whether I'll get through is a totally different matter. And I'm approaching it with the same mentality as I did when I last went to Q School. Reputation, leave it at the door, we go in, we do our best, and we try and take out as many people as possible.
The fact that you've done it once, does that give you an advantage because you know what it's all about?
I think it probably does, actually. I was naive when I went there the last time. That's why I had that attitude of leaving the reputation at the door. Now I think I don't have as much of a reputation because I'm further removed from the success I've had in the PDC. So if I can do that and almost go under the radar a little bit, because there probably will be other guys, more expected to get through than me. Maybe we can go under the radar and nick a spot.
Paul, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you as always, mate. Thank you very much.
No bother.